Warning: the following video shows a very angry side of your host. Viewer concern is advised. This may have been one of the worst games I have seen in Titans history, and that's not an over-exaggeration. This one is up there with the Patriots blowout all the way back whenever we wore the Oilers jerseys. I'm not too sure if y'all remember that, but it's that, and then it's like Buffalo Bills Monday Night Football in 2021. It was that bad. No, sorry, 2022. What's good, y'all? Welcome back to the Titans Rundown. I'm your host, Micah McCamey, and as you can tell, I'm not as energetic as I usually am. And why would I? Like, that was a horrible football game to watch. It hurt. It hurt to see the defense fall apart. It hurt to see the offensive line do what they did. Overall, just horrible game. But we're going to get into all of that in today's episode. But I wanted to start out real quick. Shout out to Malik Willis. This may be the only time that I smile throughout this entire episode. Because, dude, I've always been a fan of him, not as a player. I thought that he was a bust, honestly, but as a person, he seems like a really good dude. From what I've heard from people that know him, he's one of the nicest guys that you'll meet. I just feel happy for Malik Willis, the dude, that he was able to get this opportunity and that he was able to take advantage of it. And who knows, maybe somebody else sees the upside and goes after him. But anyway, that's the only thing that I wanted to say in credits to the Packers, because everything else, no, Packers, you weren't doing that, all the other stuff that great. We were just doing the other stuff that badly. Okay, so for positives, I have 3. That's it. 3. And, one of them is kind of 2 of them are kind of in there just as, something to put in there. And one of them is doesn't really count, and the other one doesn't even have to do with the game itself. So starting out, the rest of our division's bad. That's how bad some of these positives are. That is one of the only things I could come up with. At least the rest of our division is bad, except for the Texans. Texans should be fine, even after getting their butts whooped by the Vikings. But Anthony Richardson looks bad. And the Colts, even though they beat the Bears, they didn't beat them in the best fashion. And, Jags. What on earth happened to y'all last night? That's why I waited to make this episode. Well, that, and also I needed some sleep on Monday, but it was that, and I wanted to see how the Jags did on Monday Night Football, and they may be worse than us, honestly. But, dude, we still have a chance at second place in this division. That's how sad that this whole thing is. So I'm hoping that we can at least start mustering up some good things throughout the rest of the season, but it's not looking too bright. But anyway, the other one is special teams. You finally didn't allow a blocked punt, and Jaquan Jackson had some pretty nice returns. That's really all I have to say about the special teams. They didn't block a punt. They didn't do anything monumental, but they just did better than they had done the past few weeks. And the last one. This is the realest one that I could probably put on here. Dude, Latham's good. The rest of the O-line, which I will get to, played absolutely not good, but Latham was really good. I believe that he had a very similar game to last week, 1, maybe 2 pressures, no sacks allowed. Latham is the guy at left tackle. He will be the guy going forward, and if he keeps playing like he does and keeps on developing, man, he may be one of those dudes that ends up just with a bad franchise but stays really good throughout his career. So Latham's special. But apart from that, that's all my positives. Ooh, negatives. Let's do this. D-line, what are we doing? Dude, you are playing with so much emotion out there, and usually that's a fine thing. But whenever your emotion plays into Malik Willis' strengths, your strength for Malik is that he is elusive and he can shift around the pocket really well. And you were trying to explode his head off. If you try and do that, he's going to break your ankles. Why did you do that? Why? Like, that is ridiculous. And you should not let the emotion of this game against a third string quarterback for us get in the way of this. That's the first thing. And honestly, D-line, Big Jeff, where are you? You were considered a top 5 defensive tackle going into this season, and you have done nothing. Were you of Vrabel? Was Vrabel the reason that you were so good? Like, honestly, like, that's something that I'm questioning right now. Second off, secondary was bad. I won't be as upset about this one because at least they didn't have Cheeto for most of the game. Like, if they had Cheeto, maybe we're talking about the secondary differently. Maybe they're in the positives. But still, JBJ is not ready. And we have to elevate Trey Avery. Oh, how wonderful. And yeah, overall, secondary, you did not look good, okay? Like, dude, man, we were letting receivers get wide open. And here's the thing about the Packers receiver core. They have some talent, don't get me wrong, but they don't have a defined number one receiver. There's not a single receiver one on that roster. So overall, secondary, got to get it together, okay? Especially before next week, whenever we have to play the Dolphins and we have to go up against Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. That's going to be really fun. Even if they have a bad backup quarterback, if Tyreek Hill has 10 yards of separation on JBJ, I think that even I could notice that and throw it up to him. Like, okay, next thing, Treylon Burks. Okay, we have put our faith in you for the past 3 years. We have been patient. We have wanted you to succeed because we saw all the upside that you had, and you just blew it. You're blowing it right now. You may actually be worse than you were the past 2 years. You have to just start playing better. Like, I'm all out on Burks at this point. I don't care what he does next offseason. He could look like a Jerry Rice in practice, and I will not care. Because the fact that he is even getting into the rotation is an absolute disgrace. He's playing awful, and just, I don't know why I bought into the Burks hype. I don't know why anybody bought into the Burks hype. This is what we should expect from now on about what Treylon Burks is going to be. Like, there's nothing else to expect, right? Like, why on earth do we keep on putting our faith in this man? Like, he finally has a good receiver coach. And I'm going to get to the coaches in a second. But, like, the receiver coach is really good. He's been in the league for a long time and has been considered in the upper half of his of receiver coaches almost the entire time he's been in the league. And you still can't do anything. Still, for goodness sakes. Burks, bad. I hope that I never have to see you play in a Titans jersey again. I hope you get traded soon. Next one. Callahan, okay? You're a rookie head coach. I get it, okay? It's hard to manage this entire roster. But I feel like that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that D-Hop, Ridley, and Boyd should be on the field all at the same time, dang near every play. It should not be, let's get cute with Burks, Ridley, and NWI, or let's go with Hop, Boyd, and Burks. Like, it should not be that. Not in the slightest. It should be all three, Boyd, Ridley, and Hopkins, should all three be on the field at the same time. There's no excuse for that. And also, don't think I didn't realize how long your plays take to develop. Like, I get it. Our O-line is bad, so even if they were good, so, like, even if they were blocking better, like, my thing is that even if they were blocking better, your plays still don't have as much time to develop. Like, and Levis is just not a fit for your system. I don't know how else to say that. So, like, Callahan didn't do too great. I had no clue what to think of Denard Wilson because since the D-line and the secondary played so bland, I'm not too sure how on earth I'm supposed to regulate what I thought the game plan was for Denard Wilson. Like, I'm pretty sure it was to get pressure on Malik Willis, which it did work. We were on him almost the entire game. But the problem was that we tried to light his head on fire instead of making a tackle. Okay. Second to last one. I'm not going to be as, like, as the last few, trust me, O-line is coming, and I'm going to be just as hard, if not harder, on them. But the next one is Levis wasn't that great. Okay? Now, you can potentially put this on the idea that, his O-line wasn't really doing that great. That's fine. Or that the plays aren't developing in time enough, and that, Burks is out there way more often than he should be. But still, I'm not going to do what we did with Marcus Mariota again, where I'm just going to blame the entire coaching staff and blame all of these other minor things instead of going and being like, hey, maybe he's just not that great. Like, I'll be honest, man. Whenever it was halftime and we were down 20-7, I looked over at my dad and I started singing Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. That's a funny story. I'm not going to be laughing about it, but it's a funny story. Like, dude, I've thought about the idea of Mason Rudolph in the Titans starting lineup. And here's the thing. It's not that I think that Levis is horrible, but I don't think that he'll have success as a Titan. I feel like that he's going to do what Malik Willis did and leave us, go somewhere else, and just do really great. But I feel like that Mason Rudolph is a better fit for Callahan's scheme than Levis has ever been. Okay, O-line. NPF? You are going to want to start learning how to put fries into bags with efficiency. You are a horrible right tackle. I should have never had faith in you as a right tackle in this league. I said that maybe you could end up being decent a few months ago because you had Bill Callahan and you had shown flashes in your rookie season. But no, you haven't. You have not looked anything like your rookie season, which still wasn't even that great. Like, dude, for goodness sakes, I tried to defend you, I tried to help you, but I can't do anything right now, except for saying that you were just straight up bad. And I think that you were so bad that you dragged down the entirety of the offensive line. It's ridiculous that you are even starting right now. Dylan Radins, I don't know what to think of you because NPF is so bad, but you're still not playing great. He's got to pick it up. Like, he's got to start playing at least halfway decent. Next one. Peter Skronsky, okay? Man, I want to like you. I really do. And you have had some really good games in your career. You had a really good game last week. But that may have been the poorest effort I have seen out of Peter Skronsky since his rookie year in like week 1. It was bad. Like, it was horrid. And I'll dismiss Cushenberry and Latham from this because, dude, those two are at least decent, and I think those two are the only shining spots on this O-line as it stands right now. Now, maybe they develop into something. I don't know. But here was something else. This was the last thing that I'm going to mention, and I'm going to be done. But I meant to mention this as my first thing, and people are going to think that I was a hypocrite for not mentioning it first. Titans fan base. What are we doing? Okay? This is a home game that could very well end up deciding the trajectory of our season. Like, this was a home game that if we lost, it's probably going to go all downhill from here. If we won, maybe we end up going uphill. Maybe we gain some momentum off of that win. Either way, you still need to be there and show up for your team. You need to support them. Like, you're sitting back and complaining about how much the Titans suck. Go to the games. Maybe you not giving a good enough home field advantage doesn't help that much. Maybe it doesn't help you. Maybe it doesn't help that you don't want to get active and do something and show up to the actual games themselves. Like, that was a home game for the Packers, maybe even a neutral site. Downtown was flooded with Green Bay Packers jerseys, and downtown was flooded with a bunch of cheeseheads, and I've never been more embarrassed to be in that stadium, honestly. We've got to start showing up to games more. We got to fulfill what Callahan asked with whenever he said in his first press conference, I want Nissan to be rocking. I want Nissan to be loud, and I want Nissan to have as many people there as possible when it comes to Titans fans. For goodness sakes, if you could show up to a game, I know that there's some people that can't do that financially. I understand that, especially in the lower bowl. But like even getting, and I know there are some people that don't want to sit up in the nosebleeds. That's fine. But geez, if you do have the money and you're one of those people that are complaining, what are you doing? Especially if you're in Tennessee, like what are you trying to say whenever you're doing this? Heck, like even if you're not in Tennessee, like Packers fans travel well. Those almost half of those fans, I'll bet you, came all the way up from Wisconsin. Like half of them at least. And I didn't want to mention this last week with the Jets because I felt like that we still, dominated their home advantage, but like still, there were way too many Jets fans at that game. So, do us a favor and start showing up to games. That would be very helpful. But anyway, that's going to do it for today's episode. I have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok all under the Titans Rundown if you want to go check those out. And that's going to do it all for me. This has been Rundown. If you're Tennessee Titans, I still love y'all, even when I'm angry, and tighten up.